Drugs can kill you and can affect your health negatively. The drugs come from plants and
So your
alcohols.
first question is, how can you tell a time that you've seen a student take drugs and what happened? I have not seen a student take physical drugs in my classroom. I've seen other types of things around school, but not within class. How I'd help someone if somebody was taking drugs or I saw that, I would try to help by getting them help and letting somebody know, and trying to make people aware of what was going on. When I've seen someone take drugs, and what would I do? I've never seen anybody take drugs, but if I did see somebody doing that, I would definitely make sure that we're letting people know at school, letting the nurse know, escorting the student to the office so we can make sure that they are okay.
Roughly 13 years ago, the drugs was being introduced.
So can you tell me a time that you see a student taking drugs and what happened? So I've never actually seen a student taking drugs. We have had reports that maybe the student is acting like they have taken drugs, or that maybe they're acting like they may have taken drugs. And in that case, it just kind of depends on the situation, what happened. But personally, I have never actually seen a student taking drugs. How do you help someone that has taken drugs? So if there's a student that we know that is using drugs, whether it be vaping or marijuana or something, that's something that we're always here to give them support. There's crossroad counselors that they work with students that have some substance abuse problems. And so those crossroad counselors, there's now a middle school one that is actually going to see students that may have problems with drugs. And so that's something that we can refer them out to, or just sit and listen to them and help advocate for them to try to stop using the drugs.
The drugs can affect your health negatively.
A time that I have seen a student take drugs and what happened. I don't think that I've seen a student actually take drugs here at school. I've seen a student who I thought had maybe taken some drugs, so I took them in to see the nurse, and then we tried to make sure that they were safe and called their parent. How do we help people that has taken drugs? If someone has taken drugs at school, then our job is to make sure that we get them some medical help and make sure that they're safe. Sometimes kids, we have to call parents, or sometimes even kids may have to go to the hospital. We also want to help kids not to use drugs.
They started using alcohol.
Hello, today I'll be answering 4 questions about drugs. The first question is, can you tell me a time that you saw a student take drugs and what happened to them? There's been plenty of times that I've seen kids vaping in the school bathrooms, and one time a student overdosed, I think it was fentanyl, on class. Question 2, how do you help someone who had taken drugs? Paramedics can administer a drug called Narcan, which helps you if you overdose.
Drugs can kill you slowly.
Hi, this is your Madison School nurse, and I had some questions about drugs from students, so here we go. Number 1, tell me a time where a student took drugs and what happened. So in a situation like that, it is most important that the teacher gets help and that all the students leave the classroom. If a student is dying because of drugs, they need help right away. We won't talk about specific instances, but if you have any specific questions, you can come talk to me anytime.
Avoiding places where you know drugs and alcohol will be available can help you get away from drugs.
To use drugs. So let's see, when I see someone take drugs at school, what will that do to them? Or what will I do in that time? Immediately we would take them to see the principal, because it's not okay to take drugs at school, of course, and maybe the nurse. Again, we want to make sure kids are safe. And a time when someone got affected by drugs and what happened. I've definitely seen people in my life who have been affected by drugs in negative ways. People can lose their jobs, lose their families. People can make unsafe decisions. They can end up sick or even living on the streets if they lose everything. So drugs can definitely affect people in a really negative way.
Knowing how to resist temptation can help you get away from drugs.
Okay. And then anytime I've seen someone affected by drugs and what happened, as I said, my nephew he got addicted to cocaine and was addicted for a while, and it actually started to affect his appearance, his teeth, his eyes, the way he looked. Stuff started rotting within the teeth and the gums. And then he ended up becoming a dad, and that kind of snapped him out of it. And it did affect his entire family and all that. Everybody worried about him. And he's doing better and clean and has 2 kids now. So he's been able to turn his life around.
Distracting yourself with activities like exercise or listening to music can help you get away from drugs.
When you see someone take drugs in the school, what will you do in that time? So if I were to see someone taking drugs, I would immediately alert the administration and the nurse so that they could do something to help that student, and also some kind of discipline so that they do not do that on campus. And any time did you see someone get affected by drugs and all what happened? So I've definitely seen students that are more affected by maybe parents' use of drugs. We see a lot of students that have maybe had parents that have substance abuse problems, or are parents that they no longer see that had a substance abuse problem. And so a lot of that is just kind of listening to them and supporting them as they kind of go through that. So that's it.
Very high levels of alcohol in the body can shut down critical areas of the brain that control breathing, heart rate, and body temperature.
The question 3. When you see someone who's taking drugs in the school, what would you do in that time? The best thing you could do if you saw someone take drugs in the school and they're physically or mentally affected by the drugs, then the best thing would do is to tell a trusted adult on campus, or a teacher, or the principal, someone who can help, and they'll get help from there. The 4th question. In any time did you see someone get affected by drugs and what happened? In this school, I've seen people take drugs like vaping, and it makes them feel funny, and that's why they do it. And my mom is a firefighter, and she's seen plenty of people get affected by drugs. And if you take too many drugs, you can overdose, and that can be deadly. It can stop your heart and stop your breathing. And that's it.
Drugs can stop your lungs from thinking very slowly.
Number 2, how do you help someone who has taken drugs? So that depends on the drugs and what they took, and opioids are a very commonly abused substance. If this is the case, then the person will need emergency medication to reverse the effects of the drugs, and it is important that the person goes to the hospital because the drugs can actually be active longer than the medication can, and then they can go back into a state of overdose. And there's no way to tell how much drugs is in a person's system. Number 3, when you see someone take drugs in this school, what will you do? So if you know for sure that another student is taking drugs, you have to let an adult know because you could be saving their life. If you can't find an adult, then dial 911 and get the help right away. That student is going to need medical treatment. And that's all the questions that I have.